Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmates. I am Anme Idos from B.Ed 3B, and my topic is included in the Chapter 5, Lesson 2, which is the 5 A's. So, in this 4-phase structure is based on Kolb's experiential learning theory, which aims to educate students holistically. Learning is the process by which knowledge is created by transforming experience. Kolb, 1984. So, when do we use 5 A's? We use it especially when your lesson is learner-centered. So, what do we mean by learner-centered? This is when you want your students to create their own ideas in order for them to learn the new lessons during your discussion. And during the learner-centered lesson, teachers will only serve as a facilitator. The 5 A's lesson plan is applicable to all subjects as long as your lesson is learner-centered. So, the 5 A's is included in during the lesson or also called the lesson proper. The first one is the activity. Activity activating students' prior knowledge or relevant experience in relation to the lesson. So it should activate prior knowledge that will link them to the previous lesson. This activity also serves as a springboard to the new learning. So ano nga po ba yung prior knowledge? It is a knowledge that they already know or also called the stock knowledge or the background knowledge. The second one is the analysis, providing new material and the students should be learning or gaining it through observation and reflection. So dito po sa analysis, so as a teacher, we need to look at what is or are important in the activity that will lead into the concept to be developed. This is the part of questioning that you are going to find out what are the learnings of the students that are connected to the lesson. So in this part of the lesson, you should have a constructed questions that will guide the students towards the concepts to be developed. And the third one is the abstraction. This relates to the development of abstract concepts or analysis and generalization. Um, so this is where you give inputs to the students. This is when you concretize what the students have learned during the activity. This is also where you have to correct the misconceptions during the activity part. Make sure that your discussion is anchored on what the learners have able to discover or miss during the activity. In other words po, this is the lecture part. So as you discuss, the students realize their mistakes during the activity. You may use the outputs of the students on the activity part as the springboard in your discussion, and the input that you are going to give to the students may came from books or on what you have learned on the previous years. And the part one is the application. Putting what students have learned into practice or applying what they've learned in the actual world. So this is when the students will use what they have learned during the activity, and the abstraction part, for example, what have you learned and how can you apply it in the future, or when you can use the knowledge you've learned today. And the end point in 5A's is the assessment, measuring and documenting the academic preparedness, learning progress, skill development, or educational needs of students. So the form of assessment you're probably most familiar with is the grade you've earned in a paper or test on the final grade in class when after the semester is over. So classroom assessment is generally divided into three types: assessment for learning or the formative assessment of learning or the summative assessment, and the last one is the assessment as learning. So this is how you can tell if learning is happening. So In the conclusion, any feedback that allows you to see the excerpt for your learning is a form of assessment. So, so a great teacher knows how to use assessment to determine whether the students are making the right connections as the lesson is progressing. And a great teacher will also use the information from her assessments to make immediate changes to the lesson so that his or her students gain a complete understanding of the objectives. So that's all for today. Again, I am Anme Idos from BEd 3B. Thank you po.